addicts becoming victims of a multi-million-dollar business. It's a business that the Ohio Attorney General is calling modern-day slavery.
Eyewitness News reporter Jessi Starkey found out women are being summoned by human trafficking workers that can be picked up and trafficked across state lines. Tonight, she has the story of two women who tell us just how real and how close to home this business is. Jessi?
The women you're about to hear from in this story are victims of human trafficking. They tell me they are trying to recover at a facility right now. You won't hear their names, nor will you see their faces. We're masking their identity for their protection. This is still under investigation, and the details are unfolding closer than you think. At Freedom Hall Recovery Center in Southern Ohio, you'll find the strong will of men and women who are working to overcome addiction. Inside these walls, you'll hear stories that are jarring.
I was just in such a bad place mentally, and that all I wanted was someone to help me.
After a few years of heavy drinking and experimenting with drugs, this young woman met a man she thought was charming.
He was being nice to me. I need this guy, you know, like he's gonna help me.
After getting out of the Franklin County Jail for alcohol charges, she had no one else to call but him. He picked her up and took her to a nearby motel, and that is where her memory starts to blur. After being given drugs and alcohol, one of the only things she remembers is being handcuffed to men.
Just doing sexual activities with just numerous of men, being possibly even sold in another country. It's just terrifying, possibly never ever seeing my family again.
She was rescued by investigators in a car. At that point, she learned the men she was with were involved with human trafficking. Her captors were on the way to Cincinnati to sell her for $500,000. Was there a point where you realized they are going to sell me?
I had no idea. No idea.
Recovery Administrator Angie Pelfrey works with addicts every day. She tells me over the past 5 years, she's seen an increase in women who have been victims of human trafficking.
But things are changing to where, you know, when females are coming in, there's a lot more fear. You see that more bruising. You see that they've had broken arms. You know, things are changing to where they've been abused. Before it was they're coming in for their addiction.
It's a changing time for their House of Hope. The staff specializes in treating addiction, but Pelfrey explains the scary part is these women who are trafficked have no idea what they are addicted to.
They use different drugs for different times. They use the girls to they need to sedate them for many different reasons. They need them to be energetic for these reasons.
Another young woman came forward to share her story with us.
I was controlled to the point of when and where I could shower, you know, when to eat. I couldn't stop working if I wanted to. It wasn't my choice anymore.
She says for a year and a half, her captors dragged her across state lines to make them money.
For me, I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I didn't want to keep living that way, but I didn't know any other way out.
She was so manipulated, she thought her abuser loved her.
I felt worthless, and I felt like even if I want to leave, where am I going to go? Cut all my ties off with my family. I had no more friends.
This is the feeling Pelfrey is working to fight. She spends time helping these women understand what they experienced is abuse.
There's people out there that are preying on vulnerable girls, and I fell right into the trap.
It's something you would never expect, never dream of, but it could be your child. Your child may make a mistake. Your child may get a DUI and be placed into a jail cell with someone that is helping them.
Just a few days after my interviews with those women, I got a call from that facility saying, unfortunately, one of those women had to be discharged from treatment because of some issues she had. They're hoping she comes back. The rule is she has to stay away for 30 days. She can then come back and meet with the managers to see if she would like to get back into treatment. Until then, they're not sure where she is. Part 2 will continue tomorrow. I'll let you know why these women are becoming so vulnerable to this business and how the community is fighting back. Live in Huntington, Jessi, Starkey, Eyewitness News.
Tonight, we continue our coverage of human trafficking in our area.
Eyewitness News reporter Jessi Starkey brought us the heartbreaking story last night of two women who were trafficked from city to city to make money for their captors. Tonight, she joins us again to explain how these women find themselves in this situation in the first place and what the community around them is now doing to fight back. Jessi?
Rick, those women still have scars from the physical abuse they endured, but they're also trying to recover from the mental and emotional abuse they had to go through. They want the community to know these human traffickers are preying on vulnerable women, and in most cases, that means addicts. Over the past 5 years, Recovery Administrator Angie Pelfrey has seen a dramatic increase in women who have been victims of human trafficking. She explains they have been so terribly manipulated, these women feel they can't escape their captors.
Cell phones are removed to where their families are now cut off. They get to a point to where it is the victim and the abuser only.
Pelfrey says she has worked with women who have been so badly beaten and abused, she has to help rebuild basic confidence.
We've even heard that they have been bad. They've been placed in dog cages for a day at a time. They've been placed in the dog cage because they were bad, so they had to stay in there for 8 hours. They would put the food and water in to where they would sit there, but they had to realize that they were as bad as a dog would be.
Human traffickers often prey on vulnerable women who feel they have nowhere else to go.
It's hard to believe sometimes because it's like, wow, that's happened to me. That's me that you guys are talking about. That was me almost getting sold. They sold me, but I was almost in the hands of the people that bought me.
We sat down with two women who fell victim to this situation. One woman was rescued by Franklin County authorities. Her captors were on the way to sell her for $500,000.
I was so delusional, so out of it, and kept coming out of blackouts, and then I remember the police helping me out of the car.
In many cases, investigators are seeing the women are addicted to drugs and alcohol.
All I was good for is to go get more money for the pimp.
This young woman was trafficked from city to city for a year and a half.
And to keep working, I mean, I would stay up for days being fed drugs that I didn't even know I was taking.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine calls it modern-day slavery. In 2016, law enforcement identified 160 potential sex traffickers just within Ohio state lines. The number of suspected buyers, or Johns, was 102.
All they believe is this abuser does care for them. They have such a pull and power over them that you can't comprehend that they could just up and walk out and leave, because this is the guy that loves them. This is the one that's going to take care of them.
There are several things to look for regarding human trafficking around you. Workers may seem scripted or rehearsed in casual conversations. A pimp may be traveling with several young girls who are not allowed to speak or even make eye contact. Security measures such as barbed wire fencing or barred windows may appear around houses where trafficking is taking place.
There's a grooming process that happens when a trafficker first meets the victim. They want to swoon them and, treat them really good and make them feel special.
They tell me every day is a new beginning. Recovery from the torture they have been through does not come easy. Both women hope to help others build up confidence and lead a new life of freedom.
My life is different. And it's really unbelievable, really. It took a lot of work, a lot of restoration.
We have disguised those victims' identities for their protection. This is still under investigation. Right now, Freedom Hall Recovery Center works with investigators to try to get human trafficking off of our streets. Live in Huntington, Jessi, Starkey, Eyewitness News.